Welcome back to our channel where we present updates and concealed tales about royal family. We are happy to offer the following news: Harry and Meghan STUNS, as the crown drops a royal bombshell that changed everything. A renewed look at the constitutional status of royal titles has brought the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, back into the spotlight and sparked a complicated debate about how a modern British monarchy should treat family members who no longer have official duties. Reports say that conversations inside Buckingham Palace and in government circles have picked up speed. They are about whether people who have stepped down from official duties facing the state should keep ranks and styles that make a clear and public relationship to the sovereign. That conversation happens against the backdrop of repeated opinion polls in the UK that show a large number of voters want to take away some of the Sussex's honors. This desire grew stronger after the couple stepped down from their royal duties in 2020 and started working in the US in business and media. The situation became clear to the public when Prince Harry made an unplanned trip alone from California to the UK. The fact that he showed up without telling anyone and without his wife or kids made people even more sure that the topic of titles had gone from being spoken about within to being actual. The journey itself was rather low-key without the traditional reception and ceremonial formalities that usually come with travel by senior royals. The lack of pomp made it clear that the visit was both private and urgent. All of these things put the Duke at a crucial crossroads. The official relationship he and his immediate family have with the crown could change. The decision could have long-lasting effects not just on the Sussexes' personal and business branding, but also on the monarchy's strategy under King Charles III. People have linked King Charles's long-term thinking, both in public and private, to the idea of a smaller, more concentrated monarchy, which is often called slimmed down. The reason for this setup is twofold: to make the institution fit with modern social expectations and fiscal realities, and to focus public-facing obligations on a small group of senior working royals who do formal duties in the crown's name. Supporters say that a smaller group of people in the public eye puts less of a burden on taxpayers and makes the royal family leaner, more accountable, and more in line with current concepts about public service. In that context, the role of extended family members, especially those not involved in regular public service, naturally becomes a matter of concern. For many senior royals and advisors, the case for recalibration is not just about money, it's also about their reputation. The monarchy's ongoing legitimacy relies on the belief that honors and privileges are associated with public duties, and that symbolic dignity is not frivolously or profitably exchanged for personal gain. This is a common theme in both public comments and private advice. A modern monarchy must be trustworthy in the eyes of taxpayers and in sync with changing ideas about public roles representation and the usage of state-associated honors. That line of reasoning backs up a smaller group of functioning royals and makes it obvious what the rules are for those who don't follow them. When Harry and Meghan decided to step back from their duties as senior working royals, they fell into a gray area. They agreed not to use their his/her Royal Highness styles in an official capacity, but they kept the substantive ducal titles that Queen Elizabeth II gave them when they got married in 2018, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The difference between style and title, as well as between usage and grant, has been a topic of public controversy and media attention many times. Critics say that keeping the dukedom while stopping royal obligations lets the pair use their public connection to the monarchy to make money. People say that their relationships with big content platforms like Netflix and Spotify show that they have made money off of the prestige that comes with being related to royalty. Many people think that this perceived commercialization of royal dignity goes against conventional ideas about how the symbols and institutions of royalty should be used. Research on public opinion in the UK has shown that these worries are real. Many polls by well-known companies like YouGov and Ipsos show that most people want the couple to lose some of their honors. For example, a YouGov survey from May 2023 found that a large number of British adults thought Prince Harry should no longer be called a prince. Similarly, a large number of people seem to want adjustments to the couple's ducal titles. Polls also suggest that different groups and regions have different opinions. Older people and people from more conservative areas tend to support derecognition more, whereas younger people, more liberal groups, and some immigrant populations tend to have more divided or sympathetic views. A lot of this popular opinion is because the Sussexes have publicly criticized the royal family and the institution as a whole. They did this in well-known places, like their 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey, their 2022 Netflix docuseries, Harry and Meghan, and Prince Harry's 2023 memoir, Spare. Many people think it's hypocritical to criticize an institution while both making money from or relying on its symbolism and prestige. From this point of view, the title's review is both a response to ongoing public criticism and a part of King Charles's long-term plan for how the monarchy would change over time. The most recent part of the scandal seems to have started with an official internal message from Buckingham Palace, saying that there will be a full assessment of the honorary styles and titles held by non-working members of the royal family. Even though it was publicly called a broad procedural review, news stories that used palace sources quickly turned it into an investigation into the Sussexes' status. Reports say that the assessment came after the king talked to senior advisors, including his heir, the Prince of Wales, in private, about the royal family's structure and public image for the long term. The Times quoted a high-ranking source as saying that Prince William believes that the monarchy must be preserved from those using its honors for their own gain. The insider said, "The Prince of Wales thinks the monarchy can't survive if people see its titles as ways to make money." That feeling sums up a major institutional worry. When the crown's emblems and honors get mixed up with business, it hurts the crown's dignity. People who supported the review said it was meant to protect people by creating a clear and legal line between public service duties and commercial activities that make money. The review was made public, and soon after there was a word that Prince Harry was going to London alone and urgently. Royal watchers saw the Duke's abrupt return as a sign of how serious the review was. According to reports from those close to the situation, Harry was worried and called the king in a desperate attempt to stop or change the process. The king's administration, on the other hand, is said to have given a carefully thought-out answer the Duke would be able to talk about the issue when he got there. That answer made it clear that the procedure was institutional, suggesting that it was more than just a private family concern. The fact that the prince took the trip without ceremony and without his close family showed that he had flown back not for a social event, but to deal with a major threat to his public identity. Reports said that when Prince Harry got there, he was led to Clarence House for a secret audience with the king. Prince William then joined the conversation not long after. Clarence House, the London home that has long been linked to the heir apparent and is a common place for intimate royal meetings, was the venue for what the media called a hostile and demanding confrontation. The palace didn't confirm the details of the meeting, but published accounts said it was a gathering that showed how deep the familial rifts were. The reports say that Prince Harry first asked for the review to be stopped, calling it a direct and unfair attack on him and his family. On the other hand, the king is said to have been calm but firm, saying that the project was institutional rather than personal and was meant to protect the crown's long-term health and legitimacy. It is believed that he declared a basic rule: you can't both refuse to do the obligations that come with the organization and use its status to get forward in your own life. That phrase came up a lot in the conversation, which showed how important it was to the palace that public office and private business be kept apart. When Prince William walked in, the mood of the gathering changed according to reports. Harry talks about how the relationship between the two brothers has been tense in public for a long time. Many people say that William's appearance made things worse and led to a more aggressive exchange. Some stories said that Harry told his brother that he was trying to get rid of the titles. He saw what had been presented as a procedural clarification as becoming personal. Prince William is said to have put Harry's choices in context by pointing out that leaving their jobs and moving to the United States had implications. William is supposed to have said, "You wanted freedom. This is what freedom looks like." This is a frank way of saying that leaving royal duties changes your right to certain privileges. There was also talk about the Sussex kids, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, and if their titles would be safe. Harry's pleas on their behalf were met with vague answers, which made it clear that any decision would be based on legal and procedural considerations rather than personal appeals. The discussion that was reported ended without a decision, leaving the Duke unsure and highlighting the tension between what he wanted and what the institution needed. The current scandal isn't just a one-time event. It's the result of a series of public statements and actions by the Sussexes that have caused problems with the royal family. Since leaving, the couple has worked on media initiatives that made a lot of money and caused a lot of controversy. Their 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey was one of the most important events. During the interview, they revealed a number of disturbing claims about how they were treated in the institution. One of the assertions was that unknown family members had claimed they were worried about their son Archie's skin tone. The Duchess also said that her appeals for help with her mental health had gone unanswered. A lot of people were interested in the interview, and Buckingham Palace made a rare statement saying that recollections may vary. This was an implicit acknowledgement of how complicated memory and perspective can be in public family fights. The Netflix documentary series Harry and Meghan from 2022 told their story of how the press got in the way of their relationship and how they left. Critics said that the series gave a mostly one-sided view of the pressures they recounted going through, and that it focused criticism at how the royal family dealt with the situation. In January 2023, Prince Harry's memoir Spare deepened the rupture by giving unvarnished, often unfavorable depictions of family members and events within the household, revelations strikingly at odds with royal norm. Many people saw the book's personal tone as a severe breach of family trust, which made things worse and made it harder to make up. Along with these public announcements, the Sussexes started businesses called Archewell Foundation and Archewell Productions, and made good deals for content with global platforms. Their cooperation with Spotify terminated in 2023, although they are still working with Netflix. Some people say that these business deals are tied to the couple's royal background. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex brand, which combines celebrity and royal connections, has been a big part of their lives since they left the royal family. It is this exact combination of noble title and business that has led to institutional scrutiny and is the basis for the current review. Some public events have been used as proof of inconsistency. For example, Meghan's claim on her Archetypes podcast that she didn't grow up knowing much about the royal family has been compared to biographical reports that show she has always been interested in royalty. A humorous curtsy on a U.S. talk show in 2021 also came back up in criticism as a sign of how people thought the person was being ambivalent toward tradition. Whether or not these events have an impact on institutions, they have been added to a larger story in which small acts are seen in a new way because of the debate. The legal and constitutional processes for stripping royal styles and titles are complex and involve both royal prerogative and parliamentary authority. The title His/Her Royal Highness is usually up to the sovereign and letters patent formal declarations by which the monarch decides on styles and precedents can give or take it away. In the past, King George's letters patent and wartime measures in 1917 tried to change royal styles and anglicize the house name to Windsor. These modifications meant changing titles in order of precedence in a way that would have lasting effects on the Constitution. King Charles could in theory issue letters patent to take away the HRH title from a son, daughter-in-law, or grandchildren if he thought it was necessary. When the Sussexes first stepped back, there was an informal agreement in place. They promised not to utilize their HRH styles in their work, but no formal letters patent were issued to permanently remove the style. A formal revocation through letters patent would be a clear example of the sovereign's right. On the other hand, taking away a peerage like a dukedom is a harder and less common task. A peerage is a noble title that shows rank in the honor system and in the past gave someone a place in the House of Lords. Once someone got a peerage, it was usually seen as unchangeable unless by act of Parliament. The only modern way to take away a dukedom is by primary legislation. Parliament must pass a law that clearly allows the title to be taken away. The Titles Deprivation Act 1917 is the most often used example. It was passed during World War I to let the Crown and Parliament take away the British honors of some British peers who were on the side of enemy governments. When certain royals fought for Germany, that act was used to take away their British crowns. For modern purposes, a similar procedure would need the government to introduce a bill, have it go through the parliamentary process in both houses, and get royal assent before any revocation could become law. Going through the parliamentary process would be politically risky. Polls show that people support forfeiture, but a government would have to think about the political benefits and risks of a long public fight over a very important and emotional issue. If this issue goes from being a private family affair to being a law passed by Parliament, it will become a national constitutional issue. The palace's public statement about seeking cooperation from Parliament was therefore very important. It showed that the monarchy was thinking about options beyond just the crown's discretionary power and into statutory authority. These steps would make any change more permanent and harder to undo easily. The legislative method is made more difficult by practical concerns. A bill to take away a dukedom would need to be written very carefully to make clear what it would do and how it would work. Would Parliament take away merely the current holder's right to the property and keep the right to pass it on to heirs? Would the law completely take away the title? Legal counsel would need to look into property precedents and inheritance law. Opponents would say that taking away someone's rights retroactively raises questions about legal certainty and Parliament overstepping its bounds. The parliamentary process would also make the argument political, with opposition parties, backbenchers, and interest groups questioning the monarchy's current role. This could turn a personnel issue into a vote on the institution itself. Another constitutional issue is the sovereign's involvement in several separate Commonwealth countries. The monarch is the head of state in more than just the UK. Changes to royal styles or titles that are seen as having an effect outside of the UK can lead to calls for talks with the governments of those nations. There is no one rule that says every realm must agree to every letter's patent. However, political convention says that the crown's constitutional status should be consulted on things that impact it, making each major change more delicate and sensitive to geopolitics. People in Montecito, California, where the Sussexes live, reacted in a way that was typical of them, with a different tone and focus. Sources close to the Duchess said she was angry and very worried, especially about what might happen to their children. Reports said Meghan was furious at the thought of her kids not getting titles and promptly called in public relations and legal consultants to help mold the story and get ready for a possible fight. That reaction shows not just how worried parents are, but also how powerful royal styles are as symbols of identity, belonging, and continuity. Titles are not just seats of authority. The issue of the Sussex children's rights combines legal details with emotional meaning. The 1917 letters patent from George V said that the style HRH and the title of prince or princess were usually only for the sovereign's children, male line grandchildren, and the eldest son of the Prince of Wales. However, the sovereign can change that. Historically, Archie would have had a princely title because he was a male line grandchild of the sovereign when he was born. However, certain letters patent might modify that. So any decision about the kids is a choice that combines legal implications with strong emotional resonance, touching on inheritance identity and what it means to be a member of the royal family. Some people have said that the public's interest in the Sussexes' complaints is fading. This is called Sussex fatigue by experts who see audiences losing interest in the same allegations and media initiatives over and over again. In the business world, things seem to be changing. After Spotify ended its deal, an executive reportedly used bad language to talk about the couple's value proposition. This shows that some people think their business valuations were too high and depended too much on their royal connections. If the British royal heritage part of a personal brand, based on Californian celebrity charitable rhetoric and British royal history, were to go away, a lot of work would have to be done to make it new again. The immediate phase of the crisis reached an institutional inflection point with a succinct statement from Buckingham Palace. The review into honorary royal titles is advancing with cooperation from both the Crown and Parliament. No individual is exempt from this process. Those sentences were intentionally weighty. The Palace's reference of Parliament made it clear that they were ready for the possibility of legislative intervention. The statement that no individual is exempt made it clear who was covered by the review, making it clear that the Sussexes were included. Official procedures replaced hearsay and speculation after the proclamation. The family dispute became a constitutional matter using royal prerogative and possible legislation procedures. That change showed that public relations and media pushback weren't enough to fix the situation. Constitutional mechanisms and state collaboration were needed. Unnamed palace aide stated institutional policy: monarchy doesn't take, it fixes. The comment summed up the review's corrective stewardship, rather than personal revenge, whether conciliatory or admonitory. The review was unfinished when Prince Harry returned to California. The outcome remains uncertain. The half-in, half-out royal concept, which permits a royal to preserve their title without doing any formal tasks, seems to conflict with King Charles III and his counselors' wishes. Formal constitutional procedures could limit or take away accolades crucial to the Sussexes' worldwide character. In addition to the immediate stakes for Harry and Meghan, this event may set a paradigm for how the royal family handles such circumstances in the future. Letters' patent style changes demonstrate the Crown's willingness to protect institutions. A peerage removal in Parliament would demonstrate the Crown's willingness to utilize all state authority to create something permanent and legal. Both cases affect more than just the two parties. The larger topic is how ancestral honor and modern public expectation interact. How can symbols long considered irreversible be transformed to suit today's expectations for openness, accountability, and responsible public distinction? If the palace and government adopt legally enforceable changes, privacy, free speech, and government power will be considered. The Sussexes and their supporters may view formal title loss as unfair punishment, but the palace and its friends will argue that the Crown must safeguard its impartial dignity and the public welfare. Thus, the discussion will be as much about ideas and public opinion as legal terminology or statutory instruments. Historical echoes can warn and educate. Edward VIII's 1936 abdication and subsequent promotion to Duke of Windsor demonstrate the paradox of a monarch relinquishing sovereign duties while keeping ducal status. Parliament can occasionally revoke honors, as shown by the 1917 Titles Deprivation Act. That statute was created for wartime crises, not private business discussions. Recent instances include the Duke of York losing public roles and patronages due to scandal. The palace can remove duties and public ties without removing titles by law. These cases demonstrate that private agreement, letters patent, and parliamentary statute are all choices. Each has legal and symbolic significance. The story signifies more than just the death of a brand. It indicates people are actively examining the relationship between public office, private business, and inherited honor. The Sussexes' titles are now constitutional. The outcome will likely shape the royal family's internal structure and public image for years. These reforms under Charles III show that the monarchy defines institutions. The Crown says it will employ constitutional provisions to keep public dignity and private profits separate. The eventual decision will affect the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's identity, business potential, and how the British monarchy determines who can join and appears to the public in the 21st century. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts and say goodbye for now.